There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Gotta let it go. You gotta let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is always open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Wow, that was awesome. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I'm Chris, and we've got a lot going on today, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. To awaken, acknowledge, and nurture the divine in everyone. And you know, I've done this long enough, you think I would know the order of things, but I was supposed to do the mission statement and then the announcements, so just got a little off there. So we're going to go right into our thoughts, our prayers.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness. a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, the tools that we create with. Our thoughts are prayers that spirit resonates with. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of mindfulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
Every thought becomes a prayer. Let's move right into prayer right now. Together we pray to the divine feminine, the divine Father, the Creator, the Source. We say, yes, it is good. All the things that we have been gifted, that we have been blessed with in our lifetimes is so overwhelmingly, powerfully good. And we recognize that goodness as Source, as Divine Mind, as God. And so we come together in prayer, knowing that the truth of what lies before us is rooted and seated right here in this present moment. We celebrate the life that we have, and we celebrate the eternity that is moving fluidly through this life. And we are so very grateful. And so I invite each of you right now, at this time, to speak aloud those souls who are weighing on your minds and in your hearts, so that we may bring them into this light of truth and speak the highest for them as well. I invite you to do so now. Yes. Yes. In your mind, repeat with me, yes. Yes. The truth. The highest truth for all of us, for our friends, for our loved ones, for our community members, for our national leaders, our world leaders, is that Christ is walking among us, as us, and through us we get to reflect that truth. And so we are grateful for the opportunity to be that mirror, to be that reflection for one another. And we thank God for the realization that we have the power to spread divinity on the planet. And we are so very grateful as we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Okay, let us move right into the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
I want you to know right now that anybody who's ever reached a high level, whether it's in art, dancing, singing, sports, business, relationships, or even spirituality, has had a major obstacle that they had to overcome. You cannot change the past. What you can do, however, is give your very best in this moment for a better future. You have to understand, something that no longer exists cannot truly harm you in this present moment. It is only the meaning you give it in your own thoughts that actually hurts you. If you don't want your past to hold you back any longer, stop giving it energy, stop giving it focus and attention, because that's what makes it grow, that's what gives it power over you. It's whatever you give the most amount of your attention that you will get more of. So if you keep thinking about the pain and the problems and everything you've been through, well then you're gonna keep experiencing it. It's just a surefire way to make yourself into a victim of life. Don't let it control you any longer. Cut the chains.
I really wanted to bring home that point that he makes in the first part of this video, that we cannot change the past. It does not serve us to let it keep a grip in our mind, in our emotions. We habitually repeat these patterns of suffering. I say suffering because it's a mental pain, right? The anguish that we put ourselves in when maybe we did something embarrassing, or we said something, or we suffered an extreme loss of some sort. Maybe we were fired from a job, or something traumatic happened in our lives. And we have a tendency to relive that pain. And I like what he said because it's right from A Course in Miracles. It is only the meaning you give it in your own thoughts that actually hurts you. If you've ever done anything on A Course in Miracles, you know that is just such a core principle. Is that nothing has any meaning at all, good or bad, nothing. Only the meaning that we assign it. And so when something happens in the past that was painful, if we can't work through it properly, appropriately, at that time, then we're going to be taking it with us everywhere we go throughout the rest of our lives. And when something happens, when a new cut is received in our body or in our consciousness, it's a trigger for that old pain to be continually brought up again and brought up again, brought up again, because of the meaning that we have given it. So he says, so you keep thinking about the pain and the problems, everything you've been through, well then you're going to keep experiencing it. It's a surefire way of making yourself into a victim of life. These are harsh words, right? Whew, ouch. We've all done it though. And then his last words where we cut off the video was, don't let it control you any longer. Cut the chains. So that's what we're talking about this whole month, is letting it go. Which always reminds me now, most people hear let it go, you think of let God, let go, right? Not me. My brain goes to this very bizarre meditation I heard on YouTube that a presenter played for us, and I've told you this before, but there weren't as many people in the room when I've shared this with you. It was this meditation, and it was just like you take this breath in, and on the exhale, you just let that shit go. So that's always in my mind when I think, let it go, let that shit go. Because it's just muck. It's dirtiness. It doesn't serve us. It's excrement, literally, from our consciousness. And we choose to carry it with us. Think about that. Think about what you're carrying with you, and what that's rooted in. If you thought about it in those terms, it'd be easier to let stuff go, I think, right? Yeah. But my talk title today is Allowing for More. And just this morning, I just had this big revelation about the power of release. It's one of our 12 powers. Did any of you choose release as your power for the year when we did our 12 power candle lighting? A few people did. I did not. And I don't think that's one I've ever really chosen for myself for the year. But here we are, June 1st, June 2nd. Well, it's the beginning of the second half of the year, and I am just, I've been hit, such a surprise, sideswiped, what do you call it? T-boned. I've been T-boned. That's exactly what the visual I have. I'm going through my life, and this morning I was T-boned by the power of release. And I think you are going to be hearing a lot more about this, because the revelation I had was that because we do not release as well as we could be releasing, we are hampered by all aspects of our life are hampered by our past, by our false ideas, by these ridiculous beliefs that we carry around with us. If you listen to somebody who's superstitious, right, and they're always spouting superstitions, you think to yourself, okay, if that works for you, that's great, but that's so old-fashioned, or those are so old beliefs, right? It's easy to hear something that's a superstition and think, oh, that's an old thought. People actually did believe that at one time, and it's easy for us to recognize that it's not true. But how many of our thoughts are actually superstitions? And I don't mean in the traditional sense, don't walk under a ladder or a black cat crossing in front of you or breaking a mirror. I'm not talking about that superstition. When I'm saying what's going on in our mind, the tapes that are playing are old beliefs that don't serve us. There is no truth to them, and therefore they are superstitions. They are a framework that we are creating from which we live our lives. We live, move, and have our being surrounded by these thoughts that are false. And they're everywhere present. Anywhere that we look for God, we don't see God clearly because these superstitions are in our way. And so for the rest of this year, we are going to be letting that shit go. So if you come here on a Sunday, you are going to be hearing about this. It prevents us from everything. It prevents us from a closer walk with God, which translates into prosperity, abundance, health, wellness in every sense of the word. And it's such an overwhelming, powerful, I don't want to use the word concept, because I want it to be a reality. I want it to be something that we start living immediately. And so I'm feeling really passionate about this, and we're going to be doing a lot of work with this for the rest of the year so that we can really find the center of ourselves, really connect with our higher self, with the truth of what we are. And it's going to be powerful. It's going to be a new passion for all of us because I'm infected with it, and so I intend on infecting you with it. And I hope you come along with the ride. You know, I hear people in our community say, well, you know, I've already done all the work, or I'm XYZ age, and I'm just tired. You know, I think I'm just going to kind of coast out the rest of my life. I've heard people say this to you. I mean, it doesn't sound like who would say that, but it's true. And that's a superstition. I'm putting that in the category of superstition because if you are on this planet, you are doing work. And the power is when we do it intentionally. So allowing for more, we are going to be letting some stuff go, and that is going to automatically open up the field of unlimited possibilities of more-ness. More with a capital M, more God, more good, more life, more vitality, more of whatever your desire is. If you always wanted to do something or be something or say something, this is the year it's going to happen if you stick with me. I'm telling you. Take my phone number. I believe if my phone number isn't on the bulletin board, I'm going to go write it on that little flyer so that you have direct access to call me when you don't feel moreness in your life. Or if there is something that you have through the process we're going to go through the rest of the year, if you've identified something as a block that you have created for yourself and you don't know what to do next, I want you to call me. Hopefully we're going to address everything on Sunday mornings, maybe in classes throughout the rest of the year. But I do not want anyone feeling like they're left behind. You are all very important. You are all very special. I love you all immensely. And I want the highest and best for you. Okay, so that's my plan for you for the year. Okay. All right, so our affirmation for this month on letting go is I let go of any concern and allow good to unfold in my life. And I think this might have been a trigger for me, this affirmation, because isn't that pretty? I let go of any concern and allow good to unfold in my life. It's so pretty. And I'm not feeling very pretty today. I'm feeling pretty hard. I'm feeling like this passion doesn't deserve niceties, right? I mean, they're beautiful words, and I invite you to take them home with you. You have them printed out in your program. Put it up on your fridge, but really know the meaning of it. These pretty words don't really pierce into the center of letting go unless you let them, unless you allow them to, unless you see the true meaning of that. Any concern is kind of a light, easy way of saying pain, suffering, right? We want to just let that go, and we're going to do that. We are going to do that. But how are we going to do this? We have so many tools. The first of which is our imagination, another one of our 12 powers. You saw me light the blue candle up here earlier. And that is a representation of our power of imagination. So what we say when we talk about imagination as a power, we say that imagination is your ability to perceive the limitless possibilities of your good. Most of us aren't habitually thinking about the limitlessness of our power. So this is what I want us to do this year. Your ability to perceive the limitless possibilities of your good. It is that point of your consciousness where you can see and picture your desire. So we're going to get very, very clear about this. Your desires, your goodness, your moreness. Your imagination is visual beyond appearances. There is something in you that knows that your possibilities are not limited to what appears before you now. It is the link between your present consciousness and your undreamed of possibilities. I like undreamed of because in our humanness, we are not really capable to know the full potentiality of ourselves because our vision is a little bit limited. And when we learn to give control over to God, that's when the undreamed of possibilities can occur. And that letting go and letting go of that control is what we're going to be working on, especially this month and then throughout the rest of the year. So the first thing that we're going to do when we are intentionally allowing for more in our lives is we're going to imagine that we can. So that first step is imagination, that it's even possible. And then imagine what that would look like once you've achieved it. Once you have imagined these unlimited possibilities, what does that look like to you? And again, it's kind of a limited consciousness in this early stage of thinking in this new way, because we haven't worked through the process yet of allowing God, right? We haven't broken down those walls and those barriers yet. And as we do that, our imagination is going to increase, and we're going to be able to see more and more possibilities. We just have to take our finger off the remote control and allow it to happen. So then we get to release. And so again, when we talk about release, we say release is your ability to renounce negative thoughts, feelings, beliefs from your consciousness. Release has two main functions in your consciousness related to keeping your consciousness pure and uncluttered. These two functions are the avoiding of negativity and the letting go of negativity. The avoiding of negativity is a grand, beautiful idea that is a lot of fun to work with, but first we must learn to let go of the negativity we're already holding. And that's what we're talking about today. Again, more on release. From our 12-hour candlelighting service, we read that you might discover that there is a fear in you that you need to eliminate from your feeling nature. There's a fear in you that you're holding. You might discover that, it says. In spirit, you can release any power that condition has over you. That's easy, right? You just deny. Big part of unity is denials. You're not denying that this wall is there. You're denying that it has any power over you. And so we name it. Hey, a little kid might say, hey, monster in the closet. Right? We carry these monsters with us, right? Monster in the closet, you have no power over me. I am safe and whole and complete, and I can sleep soundly knowing that the monster in the closet has no power over me. So it is vital to remove all fear from your consciousness. Invite Spirit to remove it for you with the statement, I let go and I let God. Your gift of release takes things out of existence and back to harmless creative energy and is a cleansing of consciousness. So we're actually taking this wall, the block that we've created, and we're removing it from existence. And we're taking it back to harmless creative energy. And so I wanted to go to a Jack Kornfield, and I'm a little bit out of order, so I'm going to find this quote. Let's see, what do I have under here? Oh, no, that's not it. Okay, well, moving on. We're going to let that go, right? Oh, here it is. See, as soon as I let it go, it appears before me. Okay, so we're talking about taking things out of existence and back into harmless creative energy. We're removing them, and when we're placing them somewhere safe. Jack Kornfield says, to let go does not mean to get rid of. To let go means to let be. When we let be with compassion, things come and go on their own. That's pretty powerful, right? And if you think about it, that you might have some resonance with this as your own experience. Letting be with compassion. We've talked a lot in the past about honoring these blocks and these walls and the monsters in the closet for how they have served us, for how they have helped us grow to a certain point. We must honor them and thank them for their service to us. Bring them into the light. Say thank you. I needed to be subdued in my consciousness for whatever reason so that I could break through the ceiling. right? I needed somebody to hold me back or to tell me no so that I could stand in my power. So we want to thank these people, these teachers, these monsters that we have created. Honor them with compassion, and then they can dissipate back into the ethers. So I found this article. It's important tips on how to let go and free yourself. And this is from Dr. Eileen Strauss Cohen. And she starts with this Jack Kornfield quote. And then she gives us these 12 tips on how to let go so we can have our personal freedom. And today we're talking about allowing for more. So this is, I thought these were great. So I wanted to go through these with you. Number 1, and they're all short, so don't worry. We're not going to be here for hours. Understand that the relationships you thought you'd have are going to be different than the ones you actually have. How many of you found that to be true? The relationships you thought you'd have are going to be different than the ones you actually have. Now, that doesn't mean worse, right? It just means maybe we hold ideas about people and, oh, I'm going to get together and have a relationship with this person, and won't that be nice? But then we find that we learn things about ourselves in relationships that we don't always like. And so the relationships are going to be different than the ones you actually have. She says we must accept the person we are in this moment. And we must accept the way other people are, too. Because we get in the habit of blaming, don't we? Should we let that pass? Let it go. We get in the habit of blaming one another. If I don't feel comfortable, who can I look to point the finger at? You made me feel this way, right? We like to blame. Her second one is, don't be invested in the outcome when it comes to dealing with people, because it often leads to disappointment, right? We have expectations. She says expectations have a way of keeping us stuck because they lead us to fear certain outcomes. They keep us stuck because they lead us to fear certain outcomes. You know, when we're talking about situations in our lives, it could be relationships, it could be anything really, when we try and hold on to control the outcomes, then we oftentimes get disappointed. And we're taking that control away from God is what we're doing. Number 3, don't live in chains when you have the key. She says we live with self-limiting beliefs that we let define who we are. We think, I could never do that, or I could never make that happen. If you truly believe that you'll never accomplish your goals or realize your desires, open up your mind and believe in yourself. Number 4, let go of the idea that you can control others' actions. We really only have control over ourselves and how we act. You can't change another person, so don't waste your time and energy trying. We've all learned that lesson, I'm sure. But it's a good one to remember, because even though we've learned the lesson, people keep showing up in our lives, and we have to practice, right? Okay, where did I go? Number 5, only worry about what you think of yourself. That's a hard one. We want people to like us, right? If that is what's motivating you to do good in the world, thank you for doing good in the world. And maybe you can do it from a place of knowing that that is your right and divine purpose to do that good, and not because someone else is going to think highly of you. Your riches in the kingdom of God don't come from what your neighbor thinks. We act as if they do. We act as if other people's opinions of us is where we get our spiritual source from. That's not it. We've got to look within our own selves. Number 6, leave room for mistakes. Did you make a mistake or say something stupid? She says. It's okay. Use the experience to learn and make a joke. It doesn't make you stupid to say something wrong or silly. It makes you human and sometimes even funny. So that's a good reminder to practice gentleness with ourselves. Just go, I love you. You don't always say stupid things, so we're good. We're good. Be gentle with ourselves. Number 7, accept the things you cannot change. Stop wishing things could be the way they once were. Bring yourself into the present moment. This is where life happens. You can't change the past. You can only make decisions today to help how your future turns out. That's the whole theme of that little video we watched. You can't change the past. You can only make decisions today to help how your future turns out. Number 8, don't take yourself too seriously. Back to gentleness. She says this will allow you to relax and enjoy life's journey. Many of you know I went on a meditation retreat last month, and it was like an 8-day retreat, and it was just divine. And one of the things, Maharishi was there, he comes to the United States once a year for this retreat. And what he told us was biggest thing he wanted us to learn was to stop taking ourselves so seriously. He says if you practice every single day, take yourself a little bit less seriously every single day, he told us participants that by the time we got to the retreat the following year, we would be a completely different person. And so start paying attention in your mind of all the little digs you give yourself, all the little insults, or thinking that something you said was stupid, right? These are all ways that we are just taking ourselves too seriously. And when we learn to allow ourselves to just be, then all of a sudden everyone else around us seems to be nicer too. Why is that? Right? We've allowed ourselves some space where we're not being so judgmental of ourselves, and automatically we're not judging our neighbor or our brother and sister anymore. And everything seems to just get a little bit nicer, a little bit easier. So don't take yourself too seriously. She says number 9 is do what scares you. Fear holds us back from doing lots of things because it closes our minds to possibilities for our future and locks us into our comfort zone. Do what scares you and you'll grow and succeed. And even if you fall down, so what? You've already learned to be gentle with yourself, right? You're practicing these things. It's okay to not be perfect, but still do what scares you. Number 10, express what works for you. She says, find your voice and share with others what you're thinking and feeling in a rational way. If you continue to communicate with others what works for you and what doesn't work for you, you'll no longer bottle up your emotions. Expressing yourself is an important part of feeling good about yourself and your relationships. Number 11 is allow yourself to feel negative emotions. You know, when we talk about release and avoiding negativity, which we're not focusing on today, it's not to say that bad things don't happen, right? Or we don't have negative feelings. Allow yourself to feel those negative emotions, whether you've lost a loved one, as many of us in this room have. Through death or a breakup, you want to honor that loss. Trying to ignore your negative emotions will only extend your suffering. Loss is difficult to experience, and it's okay to allow yourself to feel those hurt feelings, to be sad. You have to let yourself feel whatever is coming through you, for you, and go through that grieving process so that you can move forward, so that we don't get stuck in the past. And then number 12 is learn forgiveness. This is a big one. We really must learn to forgive ourselves first and foremost, right? But what she has to say on this is resentment and unwillingness to forgive will keep you locked in the past and prevent you from moving forward with your life. Remember, when you forgive, you aren't doing it for the other person. You're doing it for yourself. If for no other reason than that, forgive and let go. And she closes with a Carl Jung quote. He says, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Okay, so I would like us to revisit our affirmation. It's on the back side of our Thoughts or Prayers. I know not everyone has a paper, but try to look over someone's shoulder if you don't have one. And on the bottom of that sheet, we've got One Humanity, Many Stories. June is letting go. And then let's read that affirmation together if you have it. I let go of any concern and allow good to unfold in my life. Yes. I let go of any concern and allow good to unfold in my life. So allowing for more. Allowing for more. We're going to use our imaginations. We're going to use that power of imagination and trust that there is potentiality that we still even can't see for ourselves. And then we're going to use our power of release. And we're going to let go of blaming others. We're going to let go of expectations. We're going to let go of control of things that we don't really have any control over. And through that process, we are going to let go of the superstitions that we are holding on to, these untruths that are not serving us, that are keeping us where we are. The amount of growth that we have the potential for in consciousness and personally, spiritually, emotionally is just beyond what any of us have experienced so far. It is just immense. And if you have a breath left in your body, I would invite you to stick with us for the rest of this year. Because One Humanity, Many Stories, the theme for this year is going to take a turn. We're going to crank up the dial to 11. And we are going to see the power of our One Humanity. We're going to see the power of our stories as we learn to let go everything that is keeping us from doing just that. Okay, so we are going to move into our song. We've got a song because I chose There Is Only Love because I was on a Michael Gott kick, and man, can that man sing, right? Oh my goodness. And when we do let go, what we find is love, because God is love.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I hear Spirit gently say, is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love.
How's everyone doing? Good. Checking in. Good. Haven't lost anyone, I don't think. Okay. Good job. You stuck with it. All right. This is the part of the program where we get to give our gifts back to our community, to our fellow Unity members. And so I invite you to take your love offerings, your tithes, your gifts into your hands. And we'll bless them together. So fancy. Divine love flowing as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful.
Do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? Prosperity, prosperity, I claim it, I claim it. Abundance, abundance is mine, is mine. Love, love flows through me, flows through me. I feel joy, I feel joy all the time, all the time. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I claim it, I claim it. It is mine, it is mine. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I am it, I am it. It is mine, it is mine. Peace, peace fills my heart, fills my heart. I surrender, I surrender everything, everything. Health, health is my birthright, is my birthright. Passion helps me sing. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I claim it, I claim it. It is mine, it is mine. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I am it, I am it. It's my time, it's my time. Break it on down.
right, I invite you to bring the attention up here to the gifts that you have given, to share with your community. In giving, we know that we receive, and that the gifts of the Father and the Mother are surrounding us in every moment, and we accept them. We release our expectations, and we open ourselves to receiving more joy, more prosperity, more health, more abundance, more life. And we know that it is good, and so it is. Okay, before we stand for our prayer, I'm going to invite Jonathan to come up and say a few words.
First of all, thank you, Tony, for giving me this opportunity. Before I go into the main thing I'm going to say, I just want to remark on what Tony has said. I've come to the conclusion, to really love God, one must really love oneself. And to really love oneself, I don't mean in a narcissist way, or in a way that you feel that you're better than somebody else or other people or other groups. I mean a more sacred love of all your faults and all the different parts of oneself. And if you're capable of loving yourself, you're then capable of loving God. I want to just quickly dedicate what I'm going to say to Irene and Jerry and to my own mother, Ada Denwood. I think loss is difficult to deal with. Loss of your mother, loss of your father, loss of a daughter, loss of a husband, loss of a career, loss of one's health. These are things that are hard to deal with. So I want to talk about the sacred feminine. And I want to go back a long time to the death of Christ, to his death, which was unpleasant, and his crowning as the King of the Jews, which was to humiliate him, to point out that he hadn't achieved the coming of a new dawn for Jerusalem. That he wasn't King David. But who was there to watch that and to comfort his mother? You know, Mary Magdalene and other women. You know, that darkest hour of dissolution, of total end. Who was there to see his resurrection? Who saw him first? Mary Magdalene. Who was the disciple to the disciples? Mary Magdalene. When in the disciples, some said, why would Jesus show himself to you first? I, you a woman, and you have always been the disciple to us as well. So I think what that shows, in tremendous loss, great things can come, and in the end we will meet those that meant the most to us once again. Thanks.